it just tells me that. Okay. So anyways, you guys, tonight I asked KRissy to hop on, and I'm super excited. Like I said, KRissy and I, you may have heard, we've been in honestly for a long, long time. So I always say this, like one of my things when I started, I just remember thinking like, oh my gosh, like this is so, even when I started, I'm like, this is so good while it lasts. Like this is amazing. I had zero clue this could become an actual career. Like absolutely zero clue. Not why I even started. Loved my job when I started. But I also think when you've been in for so long, there's so many things. Like I remember thinking one of my big things was like, I don't know how long something like this lasts. Like those were things that I was skeptical about. And so when I find people that have been here as long as we have, I feel like we've seen seasons. We have to reinvent ourselves. Like we all go through the struggles, like the mindset things. You know, there's times where we're like on it and we're hot and we're like at our highest. And then there's other times where we've gotten into our head and we've let ourselves sink into that and we have to get back out of it. And at the end of the day, I think both of us can agree that it's always been worth it. And most times where you feel like you hit a wall, it's not the business, it's not the products, it's not any of those things, but it's usually within yourself. And I always say this to our team all the time. I'm like, if you can self-reflect, I'm telling you, you will be like a force to be reckoned with. If you can show up and get poured into and just work alongside one another, it's not that any of us are an expert of this or that. It's like we're just all willing to learn together and we're willing to try things and apply things. And then we work with what's working well for us. So in one of our VIP leadership chats, like we all know certain struggles. And I know you guys think like, oh, if they're an ambassador, they're a presidential, like they're just immune to that. They have people running to them. Trust me, you guys, we are working our tails off too for our loyal customers and our distributors. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of moving pieces when you've been in as long as we have. And so we do have to find, you know, even people outside of our team that we connect with. And KRissy was in one of the VIP chats and Cammie was asking like, hey, shout yourself out. Like, what are you doing well? And you guys, this is something that we say all the time. I mean, I don't know about KRissy, but for myself, I'm not watching like report cards in eSuite. Like I would rather talk to you guys face to face, be working my business than stalking all that stuff. So at the end of the day, if you're doing something well, just know you can be so incredibly helpful to someone else. And that's why KRissy said yes when I asked her if she would be willing just to share with you guys how she has overcome, you know, even just that step 3. I always say to people, we talk about steps to success. And I told KRissy we're going to touch on that really quick in the beginning. But you guys, I feel like most people start understanding step 1, which is the auto ship and using the products and being a product of the product, right? And then step 2, we know kind of comes with that. People are doing host to post. We know how to share the products. There's so many resources with like stories you can share and all that stuff. But step 3 is where people like clam up. They're like, oh my gosh, but I don't even do my steps to success yet. Or they're like, I'm brand new. How am I going to help somebody else? You start thinking all these things, which in all reality, I remember when I started, I had no clue who was going to be on my team. I had zero clue who were even going to be my loyal customers. All I knew is why I wanted to start and what my initial goal was, which was like an extra $500 a month. No joke. And so the rest of it, we kind of were just like flying by the seat of our pants, but you guys, we did it and we stuck to our steps to success. And so when KRissy was out and she was shouting herself out, she's like, you know what? She goes, I struggled with thinking like I could get distributors, or you hear people that are enrolling a lot of distributors and you may be sitting back thinking like, I haven't even gotten one yet. Or maybe you're like, I work really hard, but I cannot seal the deal. Or you feel like there's a part where you're missing. And she felt that too. And she was like, you know what? Enough's enough. And all of a sudden she's like, I totally broke through that. And she is getting her steps to success. She's doubling it, you know, she's tripling it, and she's consistently doing that. And so with our promotion that's going on, maybe if you got your fall conference ticket, you have the $20 ones that expire on May 31st, which y'all, I'm turning 27 that day, just so you know. I'm not really 27, but it is my birthday. So we want to make sure that we can use every single one of the codes. Plus we have the 60% off code. So I was like, KRissy, if this is one of your strengths, I would absolutely love for you to share how you've broken through that mindset. So first, KRissy, just kind of share a little bit about your story, how you found it works, why you started, and what it's done for you.
Absolutely. And I could not agree anymore with everything that you just said there. And I love that this is going to be the center of our like discussion tonight, because I just think it's so good and the timing just could not be more perfect. So like we had said in the very beginning, we have been in this business a very long time. And you guys, I've never been a part of something as long as I've been a part of it work. So that in itself for me is like a badge of honor that I just wear so proudly. So almost 10 years ago, let's go back a little bit. 10 years ago in March, I attended a wrap party in the salon that I was working at. And I had never heard of It Works before, never heard of the wraps, but I tried one, I put one on, and I didn't see immediate results, but I'm like, I am intrigued with what this can do for me. So I went ahead and I signed up as a loyal customer. I used the products for about 4 months. I absolutely loved the products. And then I was approached with the business, and you guys, I said no. And I said no again. And then I would go ahead and say no a few more times, and I'm like, no, thanks. You're doing great. And the funny thing is, it was my sister that I was saying no to. And I would watch her pay off debt. I would watch her be so successful with this business. And behind the closed doors of our home, we were struggling financially. But I just kept telling her, no, we're good. We don't need this. So you guys, if anyone ever tells you no in this business, it doesn't mean that they're telling you no right in this moment. Like, it is our job to be there for them whenever their no can turn into a yes, but ultimately like help them see that vision of why their no needs to be a yes. Okay. So I said yes, July of 2011. I was a hairstylist in a salon. I was brand new, trying to build up my clientele. And so the way it worked was, if I didn't have a client in my chair, I wasn't getting paid. And then also at the same time, my husband and I, we had just bought a new home the previous year. So as a new homeowner, we were wanting to do all the fun things and buy all the things for our house, and we couldn't afford it. And I wanted to be able to afford the extras for us, and we couldn't afford it. So that was my ultimate goal here. I wanted to just get a little bit of me money, maybe like an extra $200 to $300, maybe $500 a month. You guys, I could not see beyond that right there. So I said yes to this business. I went after my shopping spree. I earned my shopping spree on day 30 by asking my dad, like, will you please just be one of my loyal customers? I need one more loyal customer for my shopping spree. And then here's where things get interesting. I earned my shopping spree and I quit. And I quit because I'm like, okay, that was easy. I don't really need anything else. And I forgot about my goal of an extra $300 to $500 a month. And I quit, but then I would see other people doing this business that joined right around the same time that I did. And I'm like, okay, but I want those freedoms that they have too. So then I would give this business a go again. And I would put up a post on social media, and no one was like banging down my door to sign up. So I would quit this business again. And I would quit this business probably within my first 6 months. Like, I would maybe put up a post on social media once a week and call myself working this business. And I couldn't understand why this business wasn't working for me whenever I was working it like this. So fast forward 6 months, I signed my first distributor. She quit the month thereafter. Here I was back at square one again. And we fast forward to 6 months later again. I'd been in the business for a year, and I just signed my second distributor. So majority of people who join this business that we sign, that it took them a year to sign 2 distributors, we probably would just automatically write them off. But my sponsor, being my sister, she never wrote me off. And now here I am 10 years later, Presidential Diamond. We have been able to pay off, over $100,000 in debt. We were able to pay $100,000 towards fertility treatments for IVF with our 2 girls. We have paid off all of our student loans, credit cards, medical loans. I've been able to quit my job. You guys, it's just amazing what can happen whenever we take quitting off the table, whenever we stop doubting ourselves and our potential, and just truly look straight in front of us, not focusing on left and right of what's going on, but just staying so laser focused on our goals and what this business, this company can do for us and our dreams. So we have accomplished so much in the course of those 10 years. We have gone through so many transitions. I started this business just as a wife and no kids, nothing. I went my first 5 years working this business without any kids. And then I went into the transition of having my first daughter. So then I had to adjust to that. And then I went into the transition of my second daughter. And I feel like we're still adjusting to that. But one thing that has always been for certain is whenever I attended my first It Works event, it was a conference, I told myself that it did not matter how long it took me to become an ambassador diamond. It didn't matter how long it took me to become a millionaire. There was no way I was ever going to quit this business, because I knew in that moment what I had my hands on and what the potential of what this company and this business could do for us. So that's like a nutshell. It's so hard to like squeeze all of 10 years in like a super quick story, but you guys, I'm just so thankful for It Works, and everything is just done for our lives and so many lives over the course of 10 years. And one thing I just want to reassure with you guys is I joined this business nobody special. So it's not like it's KRissy joined with this huge network, all this experience. I had never done anything like this before. I'm from a very, very small town in Missouri. And you guys, I just feel like if I can succeed at this business, Hot Mess KRissy, like truly any of you guys can do this too, as long as like you are so laser focused on what you want this business to do for you. So that's kind of like a nutshell of me and why I'm here.
I think you did really good, like compressing 9.5 years, because
It's
it is
tough.
super hard. And you know, I think it's so important, and I'm sure you guys, as you're listening, like timelines are so powerful to hear, because like you said, there's so many people that take themselves out of the game because they're like, well, I haven't signed a DT, but it's like, hot dang, guess what? What's amazing about this company is that you don't just get paid for signing DTs, right, friends? So it's like you will eventually, I think, as we work for distributors, and I think you will probably touch a lot on this, is just like that mindset shift and the conversations that you have. We tend to have conversations where we feel comfortable. And honestly, we don't even do that we do that without even realizing. That's the God honest truth. And so even just with that, you guys, I think you find like the cool thing is even as you talk about the business, a lot of times people want to try the product first. Awesome. Guess what? 6 of those people that want to try the product first, that's step 2. You get paid on that, right? So all the moving pieces, you need all of them to be able to really maximize the comp plan. But it's so fun. Like when we talk about step 3, I always tell people it was the one piece that made me so nervous, but it was probably the one piece that made me so excited once I dipped into it. Like I remember, like I may play small with myself. So for those of you that maybe don't have anybody that you're working with, right? Sometimes we can feel like, gosh, I sign people, like KRissy said, and the people quit before they even start. That's not on you guys. That's on them, right? We have so many resources this day and age that we never had before. So it is not a lack of resources. It's not a lack of help. It's not a lack of community. So a lot of times it's a lack of belief. It is not anything that is you, but it's really hard to understand that. But I'm going to tell you, I probably could have played small with my own goals. KRissy said, I quit. Well, how many times, right? And it's like, some of you can even relate to that. You're like, I start and I stop, I start and I stop, right? And it's like, but I remember when somebody first trusted me, I'm like, I'm going to help Kim make $500. I'm going to help Katrina make $500. Now I have people trusting me. So I'm going to help them do that. And within helping 3 people, I was able to go diamond, right? It was like, yes, I can pay my bills, but I know what their money is going towards. And you guys, that motivated me so much. Like, I'm like, if you're trusting me, I'm all in. And so when KRissy even talks about, you know, going to conference for me was a huge thing too. And I remember I was like in a hard part of my business, but you guys, there's something special about showing up. And there, like, that is exactly what she said. We talk about this all the time. Like when you take quitting off the table, it is absolutely amazing what you can do. And if you don't get caught up in like only promoting, if you actually pay attention to, am I growing? You know, maybe your team grew and you got your bare minimum for enrollments and it was your steps to success, but your team was promoting. You guys, that's a win. You can't be upset. And so you have to understand that there's so many ways that you can grow each month in this business. It's not going to be a promotion every single month, right? And if you understand that and you know that you're working towards that and good things take time, you can pay for IVF. You can do the things that KRissy just shared with you. So the thing that I was telling KRissy is I was like, you know what? Steps to success are so important. And all in all, you guys, that should be your minimum goal. And I say that because when they handed me that paper, I'm like, I can do that. That was my goal. And in doing that and making that my goal, guess what? There's a few things. I never once didn't profit in this business, right? So I was terrified to lose money because at the time we were a single household income. So Kevin was switching his career, all that stuff, right? And so at the time I'm like, well, yeah, I want to do this, but I can't afford to lose money. But the cool thing is I committed to just that. And within doing so, I've always profited every single month, you guys. Yeah, I had to work harder some months than other months for my distributors, but I was growing and I was promoting and I was teaching that. Okay. So before we get into this, because KRissy has upped her number big time, right? But I love her story and she'll share that with you because we'll talk about her limiting beliefs, but just KRissy, just share even for yourself, once you got to that point of getting past the starting and stopping and you were consistently doing your steps to success, just what it did for your business. Because we want you guys to know. And the thing is too, is I always feel like if you're falling short of that, you have to shoot your goals a little bit higher. So that way, if you do fall short, you're hitting it. And if you're hitting it, I promise you, you will see growth. So KRissy, if you can just share a little bit, what that turning point was, even in the beginning of your business, when you were like, okay, I'm consistently enrolling my steps to success. What happened in your business?
Okay. So one thing that I feel that happens just when you sign your very first distributor, this brand new confidence peaks, just a little bit of peak, but then you sign your second one and then it peaks a little bit more. And then whenever your distributors are signing distributors, your confidence level just peaked through the roof. So that starts with signing your first, your second, your third. And you're probably like, okay, but I haven't signed my first yet. So I need that confidence. Okay. One thing I want to reassure people is that it does not matter in this. And I'm reassuring you this because I know that I needed this and that moment. So whenever I was struggling signing my distributors, I was like, because I'm not diamond yet though, but I'm not triple diamond yet though. And I'm not people don't relate to that. Okay. People relate to you whenever you're working towards that average of $500 of that Ruby rank a month. And so what people, and I wish I could just instill this into everybody, is working towards Ruby is the most relatable time in your business than anybody that is a diamond, anybody that's a triple or ambassador or double ambassador, any of that, because people cannot wrap their brains around $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month. People cannot wrap their brains around any of that. So whenever you own where you are at right now of that extra, working towards an extra $500 or wherever you're at in this business, own where you're at, be confident in that, and that confidence is going to shine through to those potential distributors. So once I started getting my steps down, and even to getting my steps down, it's the excitement and the confidence that's going to draw the people to you. And when I say draw people to you, it's not me just sitting back of okay, come on, let's bring these people to me. It is I still have to put in the work, but my excitement and my confidence is what's going to keep these conversations engaged. It's going to keep these people excited to want to do this business with me. So those are two things that we need to really focus on within our mind, is that confidence and that excitement. And I am a huge advocate of this. Is one thing that's really going to do this for you is showing up and staying close to the fire, showing up to these Zooms, getting your tickets to the virtual conferences, doing anything you can to surround yourself with these people, because we always leave these things when we're so excited. But if we are distancing ourselves from this, that fire is just going to dim out. So we have to keep showing up. We have to keep that fire hot. And that's what's going to breed into getting more distributors into your business. So the moment you're going to be able to do that, that's when your business is going to skyrocket. That's whenever it's going to be okay, this isn't a mind game anymore that's holding me back from signing distributors. I can actually do this now because you have the confidence to be able to do this now. And I heard this on a Zoom years and years and years ago. And they're it doesn't matter what you have. You could have this yellow highlighter in your hand here. And if you are excited about this yellow highlighter, people are going to be okay, I don't know what this yellow highlighter is going to do, but I want this yellow highlighter because KRissy is just so so dang excited about this yellow highlighter. Okay. So that's how you guys want to be with your business, and just celebrating all of those small wins along the way. So, okay, you signed your first distributor. Yes, that is awesome. Now let's get your second distributor. Okay. We got that second distributor. Okay. Now we're going to go get that third distributor so we can be charted for a Ruby promotion, and just celebrating all of those things, because I think along the journey, we get these like big, massive goals that we want to be able to achieve of diamond or ambassador or doing all of these things. And we forget to celebrate these smaller things along the way. And I think that's why so many of us get discouraged whenever we're on the journey to whatever that goal is. So let's keep that focus on the steps to success. Like if we're not going to celebrate having that auto ship on, or if we're not going to celebrate getting those loyal customers, we're not going to be able to make it to step 3 of the steps to success. So celebrating every single little thing that we hit within this business, because all of them deserve massive celebrations. So I think that kind of answers what you're asking there.
Yes. And so, just know, like she was just saying, and I think that's the most important thing. And it's funny that you even said that. And you guys, this is the funny thing. Like I just literally shot my vision for this call to KRissy, and she did not even have this, but we talk about this all the time. I always tell them, I'm like, Ruby is a big goal for you if you've never hit it. Everything feels big until you're there. And the only way that I got to the big was because I had a bajillion small things. And you guys, still to this day, I sign a loyal customer for the day, and I'm not joking. Like there's girls in, like, even in the VIP chats, the, diamond and above, we're like pumped for that. And you have to be excited for every little win, because like you said, it's like, you couldn't fathom $5,000 a month. I couldn't either. So, but hey, freaking $500 a month excited the crap out of me, right? To be able to do that from home. I had never made money from home ever, sitting on my couch. I always had to be away from it. So, okay, so we're going to jump in. I just wanted to touch on the importance of steps to success, because I think sometimes as people find their strengths and they find their niche of like being able to outdo their steps to success, I think sometimes when you're listening and you're like, well, I can't even do this, you like tune out. Here's the thing though. If you start applying, and even when you're listening to KRissy and some of her stuff, just know she didn't just do this for 1 week. She didn't just do it for 3 days, took a day off. Like that's the one thing too, is like, even when I move things around, I have to literally tell myself, Sarah, you are doing this all month long. It is not just 3 days. It's not just even a week. It's not any of those things. And sometimes we really think like our short actions are going to all of a sudden like just pop up. And sometimes they don't, you guys. Sometimes they do. But most times, if you can have a little bit of a longer mindset, just for like a month or 2 weeks or whatever it is, you'll start kind of going in the right direction. So, okay, so we're just going to jump in. So on average, KRissy, you were saying when you started, you were like, okay, what was your average before you kind of had that mindset shift where you were like, now your average is like 10 distributors a month, which again, you guys are on here. And if you are like, oh my gosh, I would love to figure out how to do 10 a month, right? Or even, obviously she has a system in place that helps her with that as well. But even knowing like, if you shoot for 10 and you even land for 3, like think of what your business would do. So how excited would you be? Drop a 1 in the chat if you're like, I'm going for 3, or you can even drop your number in the chat that you would love to go for, knowing that it would excel you to your goals, but also help your team, right? It's going, as you're doing things, this is going to start being planted into your team. And that's where you really start seeing this ripple effect, you guys. And that's why I wanted her to come on. I'm like, come on and just share what you're doing, so that way you guys can also, we can do the same thing, right? So just share, like, what was your limiting beliefs when you started? Like, and then you had that mindset shift and you're like, all of a sudden your new average is 10 a month, right? So what was your beginning average and what changed for you?
Okay. So I will tell you, from distributor to presidential, I was steps to success. And I wasn't even steps to success every month. I was steps to success whenever I decided to truly give that month everything. And some months, like, I would fall short, even though I gave it my everything, but I would fall short because I didn't give my prior 2, 3, 4, 6 months prior to that my everything. And so I was steps to success. And I told myself a lie for 9 years. I said, KRissy, you don't need to be a mass enroller to be successful here. You can just focus on your steps to success. But just like you said, Sarah, like, whenever we focus on the steps to success, like, the steps to success is the bread and butter of our business. Like, we know that. But if we're shooting for 3, sometimes we're going to fall short and we get 1. But if we shoot for 10, what if we fall short and get 5? Or what if we shoot for 20 and we fall short and we get 13? Okay. So don't tell the lie to yourself that I did for 9 years, that you don't need to enroll more than what our steps to success is. Because here's the thing, while like we want quality over quantity, in order to get a good quantity, we need to flip through the quality, or yes, we need to flip through the quantity to get the high quality. Okay. So I had this mindset shift. This was the fall of last year, because 2020, my enrollments like were poop. They went downhill in 2020. And so I'm like, okay, Krissy, like you have got to get your head like in gear. We have got to do something. So a month before my second daughter was born, I'm like, we're doing this. We're going all in. I am going to shoot big time for upping my enrollments. I talked to Cami and she's like, Krissy, just shoot for 20 a month. And so I'm like, okay, 20 seems kind of scary right now whenever I'm barely enrolling like 2 or 3. So let's shoot for 10 right now. And my first month, I didn't do it. My second month, I didn't do it. But you know what? My third month, I did it, because I was so consistent that first and second month that I was finally reaping the benefits from it in my third month. So one thing that I want to tell you guys is, for months and months, I prayed over my business and I'm like, I want to be so overwhelmed in a good way with potentials, with new distributors, with my customers sharing their results with me. Like, how amazing of a feeling would that be, that it is, you're so overwhelmed with your business that like all of these things are just coming in. And I prayed for that. And I will tell you guys, like, I am finally seeing that within my business, and I am reached a level of excitement that I have never reached in my 9.5 years of the business, because I decided to shoot higher than what our steps to success say. And think about it like this, guys, we are limiting other people, because it's almost like whenever our ceiling here is 3 people a month. What if we could help 10 people get started on this business? Because we know what this business could do for them, but we are limiting the people that we can bless with this because we want to stop at 3. Okay. We have this amazing life-changing things on our hands here, but we can't limit it at 3. Like, we've got to reach that 10. And steps to success is amazing. And doing the steps every single month is amazing, but every single one of us has it in us to be able to go out there and help more people than just those 3. And so I am shooting for, I'm finally like reached my average of 10 a month. So I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and up my game, because I know that I can do this. Like, I have the belief within myself that we can up this to 20 a month. And while this might be overwhelming for me, I want to be so overwhelmed because I want to be able to help 20 people kickstart their business with me. So drop the excuses of, I don't need to enroll more than my steps to success. Like, I just want 3 really good people to join my business. Yes, I want 3 really good people to join my business too. But sometimes we have to get through the 20 to get to the 3, or sometimes we need to get to the 50 to get to the 3, because the reality of it is not every person that we bring into this business is going to work the business like you work this business. And that is not a reflection of you. That is not a reflection of your training, your leadership, your team. That's a reflection of that person, because like Sarah said, there are resources beyond resources beyond resources that people have at their fingertips that we didn't have whenever we joined this business. And so that's what I love, is there is literally everything here at the fingertips of people. So you get them in the door, the leadership, the company, your team is going to help them be successful. So you do the work of going out there and catching those fish, and your leaders will help you do everything you need to do for them. So just like, don't limit yourself in just the lives that you can change with what you think that you're capable of, because every single one of us is capable of 10 distributors, 15, 20, and more. And this was like the greatest analogy that I had ever heard within my business, is there's 52 cards in a deck and there's only 4 aces in a deck. And sometimes it might take us flipping through 40 cards to get through that, to that first ace. So think about that ace of what that's going to do for your business. So that ace is going to be the person that comes in that just truly changes everything for you and your business. But maybe you went through 40 cards before you got through to that ace. So just go out there, keep enrolling, keep sharing, and don't limit your capacity and all that on just those 3, because the reality of it is those first 3 that come in, or those 3 that month, aren't going to be the ones that change your business, but it's going to be you consistently putting the people into the system that's going to change your business for you.
And you know what I love about that analogy too is, you guys, if you know maps and if you know me, I'm like such a paper and pen kind of gal. I'm like, you guys, you need visuals in front of you. Like, because the thing is I swear it was the visuals. I didn't have to know everything about everything, but I could look at a paper and it could guide me and I could read it. And that's what got me where we were. And then like KRissy said, excitement, and just like every little win excited me to go get the next one. And sometimes you have to bring yourself back to that, you guys, right? Life happens or things happen on your team or whatever it is. You kind of have to like, you almost want to be back in that beginning state, right? Because some of those other things can make you a little jaded. But that's the thing. And you have to know your map, you guys, right now, we used to need five really people that were ready to run, like, you know, myself or KRissy or Lisa, or, you know, people who are all in and show up every single day. 5. We need 3, you guys, 3 people that are willing to work like you're going to work. For you to go ambassador, they need 3, and it just ripples down, and it's like, and you can be pulling in 5 figures a month. That's insane. And every single one of you is capable of doing that. So of course they want to know, like, you have to give us the meat and potatoes of what you're doing to get your 10 distributors. Because I know that there are people, if they could even get their 3, they would just be so excited, not only because of the fast starts, but just to have people to work with. And like you said, you gain confidence with each one, knowing, okay, next month I can get 3. The next month, maybe you can get 5, right? You can start growing your number just like KRissy. So will you just share exactly what you're doing to get your 10 distributors a month?
Absolutely. So, it was at the very beginning of 2020 and even towards the end of 2019, I kind of like stuck my feet in the water a little bit with TikToks. And I'm going to just be straight up with you guys. Whenever they're like, okay, you need to use TikTok to grow your business, I kind of like snubbed my nose at it. Like, I just wasn't real big on it. But one thing within like my journey of it works is I have always been willing to like learn and grow and educate myself with the times that are changing. Like, I started building my business through Facebook, and then I transitioned into Instagram, and I like absolutely fell in love with Instagram. So whenever they're like, KRissy, you need to be doing TikToks, I'm like, I'm good on Instagram. Like, I'm good. I'm completing my steps. There's that lie that I was telling myself that like I was good just right where I was at. And so I kind of like stuck my feet into the water with it a little bit. And we all know that if we excuse my language, just half-ass things, we're not going to get like the full results that we want with it. Okay. So we've got to like stick both feet into the water with it. So towards the end of 2020, I'm like, I am going full in with TikToks and Reels. Like, I don't care what it takes. I am bound and determined to make this work for me. So I did it. 9 months pregnant. I was so miserable. I was sick all the time, but I'm like, I'm doing this. And I did. And I dove in fully. I educated myself. And that's one thing we have to utilize the resources that are at our fingertips. And that's just not the ones that the corporate's going to give us. Like, I will go to YouTube and I will search how to build your business on TikTok, how to build your business on Reels, all of these things of how to educate myself of how to do this. So I fully dove in with them. And I would say 90% of my enrollments come from my TikToks and my Reels. And then the other 10% comes from my stories and my posts. And that is strictly for my distributor enrollments. And then my loyal customer enrollments, I do it from post to post still. So I'm like very strategic. I know where my enrollments are coming from. So they're coming from my TikToks, my Reels. And then as far as like how I do those and kind of like my science behind them, I've tried to do like all this research of like when you need a post and yada, 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 all these things. The one thing that's going to get you guys results here, it doesn't matter the time of day you post. It doesn't matter the type of content you post. It doesn't matter what it looks like or anything like that. What matters is that you're consistent, and you're consistent with showing up all the time over and over and over again. Because if we're not, whatever we're trying, if you're going to try TikToks and Reels, if you're going to try host posts, if we're not consistent with it, it's not going to work for us. So one thing that I want you guys to promise like yourself and your team right now is if you're going to dive into this, like promise yourself you're going to be consistent with it. And that doesn't mean for 1 week or 2 weeks. Like, this means over and over and over again. So I started this in September of last year. I started to kind of see a little bit of like the ripple effect from this towards like October, November. December rolled around and my influencer applications were blowing up. My inbox was blowing up. You guys, I could not keep up with the people that were coming in from my TikToks and Reels. And it's still like this thing that is just an overwhelmed excitement feeling. And it's because I didn't give up with my consistency there. So as far as what I'm putting out there, the type of content, all of that stuff, I will try to do, like, let's say if you think about like my last 5 reels and TikToks, I will have 4 of them be not related to It Works whatsoever. And then I will have 1 of them be opportunity driven. So like a 4-to-1 ratio. The reason I do this is because my 4 are things that I'm doing that's going to be related to my pillars, the type of people that I want to bring into my business. So the people that I can relate to, and what that's going to do is whenever I do bring an opportunity TikTok or reel in, those people that I've connected with those 4 non-It Works related ones are going to be the people that I want to bring into my opportunity ones. And if my views are doing really good with my non-It Works related ones, that's going to organically grow my following, which is in turn going to be the people that are going to be seeing my stories and my posts. And that's where my other enrollment's coming in. So it's kind of like a double whammy there. As long as I'm consistent with that, they're going to be able to see these and they're going to come in through there. So 4 non, 1 It Works. You guys, if you're like me and you're like, but my life is boring, or all of these lame excuses that we tell ourselves, you guys, I don't dance. I don't do anything special that you guys see on TikTok and Reels. I just lip sync and I point. Something that every single one of us can do. And that's literally what has happened with my distributors, my potential distributors that are coming in. It's me pointing, sharing what this business has done, what this business can do. And that's the beauty of this, is you don't need to be somebody that's just diamond and above that's rolling in all of the money with this business. You can share what this business can do. Or if somebody just wants to make extra income from their phone, people are automatically going to be drawn to that. So don't like overthink, but I haven't done all of these massive things with this business. You can still go out there and you can share your TikToks and Reels. So I have my TikToks, my Reels, and then I am throwing out my influencer application like a broken record. I'm talking about it all the time on my stories. I have a link for it on my Instagram. I have a link for it on my TikTok. That way it's a call to action for people, because it's harder for people to come to us. But if they're clicking this link, they're just filling out some information. It just seems a little less scary for them. And I think that's one thing that's also like immediately brought in the people for me. So that's honestly what's changed everything for me. I would say majority come from that. And you guys, it's just brought like a new level of like fun and excitement for me. We can be silly, like we can laugh at ourselves, and you don't have to be like dressed up to a T to be able to do your TikToks and Reels. I started this at the very beginning and I'm like, okay, I got to have all my hair and my makeup done and I got to look good. And then no, just go on there, be yourself. The people are going to relate to you and the real you, and just have fun with it. I got a direct message on the chat here, and she just asked what my non-It Works Reels and TikToks are about. So as far as like my non ones, that's where my pillars are going to come in. And these are going to be the things that I am related, that relate to me, my interests, the type of people that I want to draw to my business. So as far as like what my, pillars are. So I am huge into infertility and IVF. So I will talk with that a lot. I talk about my family a lot, my faith a lot. I am just the type of person that likes to laugh and have fun a lot. So I will do a lot of funny ones too. I like to be able to make people laugh. And so that's what a lot of the content of what my TikToks and Reels will be. And then as far as what I'm pointing at, instead of me talking and like vocalizing the words, it's just I'm pointing to the different words of what I would say if I were talking back and forth to that person. So I hope that makes sense.
Yes. And so when you do them on your TikTok, do you share them over to your Reels?
Okay. So
kind of are double dipping.
So what I do, TikTok and Instagram does not like if you don't make the content inside of their app. They're a little bit of spoiled about that. So what I will do, and this is just a little hack that I like, is I will make my video in Instagram. And I actually like doing it on Instagram better because I like their filters better. So before, like I'll make it in there, and before I go to post the reel, I'll click the little arrow up at the the top. So that way it downloads it to my device, saves it to my camera roll. And then I'll just go post that same thing to TikTok. I'll go find that sound, use that sound there. So there's no logo on it. There's no floating TikTok thing. There's no Instagram logo on it. That way I can use it on both platforms and they're both satisfied and happy with how I did it.
Yeah. And I think you guys, you know what's so crazy is when it comes down to it, like, again, like Krissy said, like, she was like, I was kind of like, whoa, like, I don't know, and I think when we start doing that, we're overcomplicating. Or I know for myself, like, I'm comparing to these people that like literally know all the effects and like special things with it. It's like, you guys, we don't even have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I literally have to bring myself down to be like, okay, that's amazing maybe one day. But honestly, like, take 20 seconds to do this or that. And you know what's crazy about that is like, it's about the views. And I say this all the time, even on Instagram, and things are always changing, which is why Krissy was saying, like, you guys, we all have to grow. We learn from each other every single day. There will be a triple diamond that's like, oh my gosh, I just learned this. The other day, I think it was Josh actually shared, they even changed like how you can do the carousel photos, right? We were all like, dude, why was it taken away? And on there, it's like, those are executive rubies. We're all learning together. Eventually you're on the same playing field. Like, I say this all the time, but at the end of the day, it's just getting your stuff in front of people. And so this is what I have to ask myself when I'm going to go get uncomfortable about something, or you're saying like, I don't have anything to put a reel. I've never done them, or okay, cool. Just start, but the thing is that it's not about the followers per se, because there's people that follow that probably don't ever comment on my stuff, but it is about the views. And so the thing is if you can get somebody for 5 seconds, even just to like get the information, we have what people want. And so I always say, if you are wanting the 10 distributors, or you're even wanting 3, you have to ask yourself, am I willing to be uncomfortable and start doing some TikToks and some reels? I saw somebody whose account was completely canceled on Instagram, and because she does a couple reels a day, right? It's 20 seconds. It's just being funny. She's dancing. She's doing different things. She has like 20,000 people. Now that should tell you like Instagram wants you doing the reels. And for a while it was something different, but that's the cool thing is we do have to adjust. And the thing is, at the end of the day, you get to ask yourself, do I want those distributors? Do I want the fast starts? Do I want my team to be able to grow? If yes, then do it. Then try it. Right? So, and then the influencer application, is it the one that you made, or are you doing the Connect app one that shoots off the, what is it called? What do I want to call it? The notification that somebody's done it.
So I still have my original one that I did in the Google Docs. And I just haven't switched it over yet for no specific reason. So the one that It Works has for us is great. I love it. And I like that it has all your leads just right there for you. You get the push notification. So I'm still using the Google Doc one, but I think that It Works one is perfectly fine, works just as good.
Yeah. Okay. So I absolutely love that. And then one part of that was somebody was asking, what's your follow-up routine? Because obviously we know that it's not always like the first conversation that we have with people. And there's so many times that I think people are like, I don't want to be annoying, or I don't want to be this, but like I'm like, listen, I've already given this girl all the information. To heck if somebody else is going to swoop in and ask her at the right time. So like, I am not afraid to follow up, especially when there's things that we can offer. Like right now, like, hey, it's $20. Hey, it's $39. Like, I know this was scary for you. So can you just share a little bit of your follow-up routine and like your science behind that?
Yes. Okay. So obviously the way I follow up with people, we're going to use messaging for that. Okay. And the reason I'm talking about this is I feel like there is another tool for following up besides sending someone the message that says, hey girl, do you still want to do this business with me? If we are active on engaging on their posts and their stories, every single time our name pops up, I'm following up with them. And I'm not following up with them about the business, but my name is at the front and center of their mind. And I want it to be at the front and center of their notifications, because they're like, okay, I know that Krissy girl, like she's the It Works girl. I want to be front and center in their mind and their notifications all the time. So I'm going to be active on engaging on their stories, engaging on their posts, just having conversations with them as a real person, besides the conversation of, hey, are you ready to do this business with me? So that is going to be so important, because you're establishing that relationship with them. And that's going to be it's going to give that level of trust, because it's already hard for a person to say yes to this business sometimes. And whenever we've formed that level of trust with them, it makes that yes, whenever they do say yes, a little bit easier for them. And it just breaks down that wall a little bit. So just being a good friend to your potentials, and that's going to be first and foremost. And then the second one, as far as how I follow up with people, if we are not following up with people, you are losing so much money within this business, because you want to be the first person and the last person to talk with people before they sign up with this business. And if you are starting the initial contact with people and you're not following up, you just put in all the hard work for somebody else to sign that loyal customer or sign that distributor. So just remember that whenever you're getting ready to send that message, you're like, but I don't want to be annoying, or I don't want to be pushy. You're not, because majority of the times people probably forgot to message you back. I don't know how many times somebody was like, oh my God, girl, I'm so sorry. I read your message and I forgot to message you back. So what I'm going to do, if I feel like this is like a really hot lead, like they are super excited, we've talked about a lot of it, I will give them 2 days and I'm like, hey, just checking in to see if you had a chance to read my last message if they didn't respond. And cause I always end with a question, if you had a chance to read my last message, or if you had any more questions. If we've already established that, I'm like, okay, you ready to do this business with me? Like, I still think you would absolutely kill it. Like, I always throw in that compliment to them, whatever it might be to that person. Like, I'm going to tailor it to that person. But 2 days after that last conversation, if I feel like it's a really good conversation that we had going, kind of like a hot potential is what I'm going to call it. Okay. If it's somebody that is just like a medium, I'm going to do once a week. If it's somebody that it's just like, you don't know if because you're going to be able to read your potentials, whether you feel like they're really, really close or there's a little bit of a gap there. Figure out what that gap is, like what it is that's holding them back, and just be upfront and ask them, like, what can I ask you what's holding you back so I can help reassure you? Figure out what that gap is so that way we can kind of seal it and put it back together. If it's just not a real hot lead and you're just not sure, I'll do once a month. And then I also have my people that I'll just do anytime there's a promotion, because I'm not going to waste my time wasting their time. Like, I want to spend my time with the people that want this business. So those are why I'm following up with those people, those certain people, in 2 days after we talk to them. And then one thing that I'll also do is whenever somebody does reach out to me about the business and they read my message and I know they read my message, I just ask them, hey, did you get a chance to read through my message? No rush, just want to make sure you received it. And I'll blame it on like social media. Like, sometimes we just don't know, Instagram or Facebook didn't notify me that, or didn't notify you that I messaged you. Blame it on that. But we have to be constantly in their inbox, asking them if they're ready, asking if they have any more questions. Are you ready to do this with me? You're not bothering them, I can assure you. And one thing that I can also assure you is that whenever somebody says, I just can't afford it right now, 99.9999% of the time, there's something else holding them back. So just think of them as like an onion, and we got to peel back those layers and figure out what is holding them back. And that's where that level of trust and relationship is going to come in, because they're going to be able to be upfront with you. Like, look, this is what's holding me back. Maybe it's my spouse, or maybe they're just nervous because they don't know enough people. But that's where a lot of times I'll talk on my stories of the common things that people tell me no, or why they can't do this business. I'm going to reassure them without reassuring them in a message. I'm going to reassure them through my stories and through my post. And one thing you can also do with your posts, if you have a certain potential that like you really want to do this business, you can like ultimately talk to them through their post, to where if they read that, they're like, oh, I know she's talking to me. Okay, I'm ready to do this. Like, so just being like super like, and it's not upfront, but just intentional with those posts and those stories with the people that you want to sign on your business.
And I think too that people, like, they think following up is an annoyance. You guys, honestly, it's actually a compliment. Like, if
Yes.
somebody keeps saying that they see something in you, or the other belief that I feel like we have is we think that if we have to ask that many times or say it that many times, that we're like convincing them to do it and they won't do much in this business. That is also a lie. Like, literally Krissy's sister asked her 8 times and she didn't. And look at Krissy's a presidential diamond. So again, like how many presidential diamonds are you walking away from? Because you're like, oh my gosh, if I had to ask that many times, they're not for it, this business, right? And the thing is we talk about these things because we think these things too, until all of a sudden we realize that we have a Krissy in our business and we had to ask them 9 times. And then when they finally said yes, they like exploded to diamond, right? Or whatever it is. So a lot of times when we're talking about things, it's not like nitpicking at people. It's like, no, that was us. like we totally get it, right? We're speaking on experience. So I think too, that's the other thing when it comes to following up is like knowing I don't see it as annoying people. Like I truly know if I'm taking the time to follow up with somebody or I have their name on a list, it's because I see things in them and I'm going to share those things. And I'm going to share how this can fit into their life. And like Krissy said, like if we've had a conversation, that can be tomorrow's post. Like, oh, I've talked to so many people and this is something that holds it back. AKA Amy, like, you gonna join me yet? You know what I'm saying? But I think it's like they talk about that when they say like work in your niche, whatever it is. But that's kind of what they're talking. They're like, talk to your audience. And also your audience isn't everybody. That's why like when we talk about the 5 pillars, or she's saying like, you know, they're not all my info, just like how not all your posts are just it works. You don't even want them to be that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, because you're going to relate to certain people. Hence why, like, even when we go to follow people, I go to people that that would follow the same account as me, because clearly we have something in common, right? And so one thing I want to ask on here, they said, how many reels or TikToks do you do a week? I always feel like, I told Krissy this, I'm like, numbers I think are so black and white for people that they like to like know that for a goal.
Yeah. So for me, every week's going to be different. And that's just because it's based upon my schedule. I try to like batch some reels and TikToks into my drafts. Like whenever I have free time these days is like very minimal, but let's say on average, I will try to do 4 to 5 reels a week. I feel like Instagram rewards you for like this happy medium. If you do too little, they're not going to show enough. If you do too much, they're not going to show them all. So find that like happy medium. I feel like 3 to 5 to 6 a week is plenty on reels. TikTok, I feel like they reward you a little bit more that you do. So what I'll do for TikTok is I try to be on there every day. And so if I'm on there every day, I try to do at least one TikTok. And they say that if you can do 2 to 3 a day, it's really good. You guys, I don't have enough time in my day that I'm just going to be able to spend time just doing TikToks and reels, because like I also have messages and teams and my team and everything else that I need to do too. So whenever I am putting ones on TikTok, I will try to do 1 to 2 at a time. Obviously that doesn't happen all the time, but I'm consistent on there and TikTok rewards me for my consistency on there.
And on TikTok, do you take time to interact on there as well? Or do you just post?
I just put the post and that's it. But I have been talking to, so at Winter Circle last month, there was one of the leaders there. She said she spends so much time interacting and engaging and it's helped her tremendously. So I'm like, okay, that is something I'm going to tap into.
Okay. Yeah. See, so that's good to know too, right? And I feel like that's the thing. It's like once you get, like Bree, I think just said in the chat too, she's like, once you get one thing down, you can slowly like add on the other things. I think sometimes when something's new, when you try to like go from like brand new to thinking like you're going to be an expert, like you're setting yourself up for failure, because none of us do that. Like we know we're going to be like the slow turtle, like, okay, like bring this in, right? And even like you said, I remember I was like, I can't do TikTok, but you know what's funny is reels seemed easier to me. I could get that down faster. So to be able to share them over, that worked. And then some people are like, no, I make everything on TikTok and I share it over. So you will find what works best for you. Okay, so there's a couple more questions. And one of the things is obviously not only do we want to bring people into our business and help people, but can you just share how you're successfully launching multiple distributors a month? Just to like get their business off, like what your little system looks like so that they're not overwhelmed, but you get them moving so they're getting their, shopping spree and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So whenever I first sign up in a distributor, like I am very like, I'm going to be a broken record with them whenever I tell them, like, I want you to blow up my phone. I want you to be front and center, because the more I see your name, the more I'm going to be able to help you. And that helps me make sure people aren't falling through the cracks, because whenever you do start signing more distributors, like, you will find that some people can fall through the cracks if they are not present enough in front of you. So I like am almost begging my new distributors, like, blow up my phone, please, please blow up my phone. And whenever they do blow up my phone, they're always apologizing. I'm like, no, like, I absolutely love this. This is what I want from you. So that's how I'm making sure that they're not going to fall through the cracks. Okay. So whenever they do first get in, I want to be able to FaceTime or Zoom with them within their very first 2 days. And I'm going to say like 48 hours, max 72. And the reason is that's whenever their like excitement window is like really, really good. And I want to catch them there, and I want to establish that relationship with them, like right there off of the bat. And that's where I'm going to be able to get to know them. I'm going to be able to do a better training with them one-on-one versus me trying to do all of this through text. So we're going to kick off our training that way. We'd immediately dive into host to post. I have them put up a host to post giveaway on their wall, and it's not going to be one that announces their business or talks about products or anything like that. Like, we're immediately talking about whatever giveaway we have going on with our team at the time. And then I'm going to help guide them through any of the comments. And that's from that giveaway host to post of what they're doing. That's whenever we're going to dive into the product host to post for the people that are posting on there. If it is somebody that they came into the business with like a super small network, we're going to do strictly giveaway host to post, and that's it. That's all we're going to do for your first week is giveaway host to post, because that's what's going to expand your network, because we know that like they need to get more people into their audience seeing their stuff. So that's what we'll do based upon like what their network looks like. And then another thing that I'm going to do with them within their very first week is, depending on them, and I leave this up to my new distributors. And the reason I leave this up to them is because if somebody told me, okay, I need you to go ahead and reach out to your closest friends and family, I would have like clammed up, and I'm like, I can't do this. So I asked them, okay, do you feel like we could get some support from your closest friends and family? And if so, are you comfortable if we just send out some messages to them? If they say yes, I have a message that I send to them. And I'm like, and I do this with host to post, and I do this with whenever they're sending this to their closest friends and family. I ask them, send me a screenshot of everything. And it's more work for me, but I know that this is part of their training, because they're going to send me screenshots of their conversations. And then I'm like, okay, this is what you're going to send. Send me back whenever they respond. Okay, this is what you're going to send. Send me back what you're going to respond. One thing that I'll tell you is the Boards app has been a game changer for our team and our new distributors, because there's everything in there of, okay, when they say this, when they say yes, this is what you said. When they ask how much, this is what you said. Whenever they say yes, this is what you said. So it's just getting that like duplication there, and just because whenever you're helping guiding them through that, they're learning. And so then whenever they sign their distributors, they're going to repeat those same exact steps. Okay, send me your screenshot. We're going to do this. And so that's a lot of what they're training is going in and actually putting in the action, versus me being like, okay, whenever people end up saying this, like, we're going to do all our training through action there. We don't dive into TikTok and Reels unless that person feels like they already have like knowledge on TikToks and Reels. So we're not diving into that right away. I'm keeping it very super simple with them, staying so focused on just that step 2 of the steps of success of let's just get your loyal customers. I challenge them to get it within their first week. And that way, if they don't get it within their first week, they still have 3 more weeks to go. And especially with this promotion that we have going on right now, if they get it within their first week, I'm focusing on 5. Let's just get your 5 for your bonus. And then once they get their bonus, I'm like, okay, let's just go ahead and we'll put in 1 more. And then you get a $150 shopping spree. So the shopping spree isn't even something that we're talking about right away. We're talking about that $100 bonus, because majority of people who come into this business, they came in because they want cash, not because they wanted $150 in products. So we're focusing on that $100 bonus. enroll one more, and then you can get a $150 shopping spree. So just my training is ultimately outlined around the steps to success and just breaking that down into baby steps of holding their hand. Okay, this is how you're going to do this, then do this. So focusing on loyal customers, let's do that. And then we're going to go focus on distributors. And what I love about the promotion that we have going on now, right now with that $100 bonus for your 5, people are getting such a big win that they can't help but go out there and want to share the opportunity with people. And we know what that's going to be able to do for their business, but in turn, what it's going to be able to do for our business too. So I want people to get that first win of that $100 this week. So that way, whenever we move on to step 3, it's just that much simpler for them and easier for them to go out there and share the opportunity with people.
And you guys, that's something so important because like when I think about it, even my first, I mean, you have to think, okay, so selling samples, right? That's cash right now. Like I always ask my new distributors, like, hey, I can coach you on how to do this, or you can work towards, getting your paycheck in a month. And they almost are like, no, I want to work through that, but I think back to myself too. Like you said, you're like, I know the fears I had, or if somebody would have said this, it's like kind of look back at yourself. But like for myself, even just making $100 with wraps over and over, that had me so dang excited. And the thing is people around me were watching that. Plus I was sharing that like, oh, this is covering gas. This is covering sporting fees or whatever it was. And it's like, all those other moms were like, well, I have groceries, I have gas, I have sporting fees. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's a right now win. And when you get those, it like literally levels out those fears that really people are like sweating, right? And then it replaces it with excitement. And I think that's the one thing too, like you're saying, it's like, I always tell people too, I'm like, do you want to be paid in products? I mean, even when there's people, you'll get a random message about like, hey, will you influence this? Here's $100 credit towards this. Like there's no kickback. Like people can't pay for, their bills or their trips or like any of that stuff with product, right? Here they can, but like even just elsewhere. So it's like, yes, that bonus that they can get, plus it gets paid out that week. I think focusing on those cash wins right off the bat, like you said, people get so excited. And I know for myself, like that's probably how I did get my DTs. I'm like, oh my God, I've already made, $400 in wrap cash. Like that was like $500 was my goal. I forgot I was getting a commission check until all of a sudden I got this. And I was like, and then I was like, okay, my nursing job looks like chump compared to what's going on here. But I love that about it. And I think too, host to post, it's just like it has them doing the things. It has them conversing without them being like, go pick who you need to message and talk to. Like, it has them sharing something fun, you guys, which we all have a giveaway every single month that everybody can use. And at the end of the day, again, you just have to ask yourself, like, are you willing to use the things that are there for you, And so my last question for you, KRissy, is this. Well, first of all, KRissy got herself a spot in Winner's Circle, which is absolutely freaking amazing. And like I said, I'm like, we're not even on the same team, but I feel like when you come to events, which is where I met KRissy in the first place, it's like you establish these relationships and you also know to accomplish certain things. It does take work. It takes commitment. And you guys, that will inspire me and like to know other over and over and over. Like you never look when you actually get to some of those spots. It's like, the work it took, right? And all this, and you have this really newfound respect for the people that are doing those things. Because I think we can easily sometimes fill in this story that we think is so simple. And it's like, but then really, like you said, when you really get to know people's stories and you unravel, like the layers, you're like, wow, like, no, she's worked through a lot of things, So I just want you to, share how it is like that doesn't happen by accident. Promoting doesn't happen by accident. Getting your steps to success, it doesn't happen by just showing up here and there or when it's convenient for you. And you are a busy mom. She has 2 under 3, which is busy, right? And then, so just share, like, how do you make it a point, or what would be your best tip for them so that you have been able to stay committed, or where like you're not laying down at the end of the night and you're like, oh my gosh, I missed another day of working. Like you have it to where your work is getting in there so that you can be consistent, so that you can get the results that are growing your business and helping change your team's lives. What's your biggest tip on that? Making sure that you fit that work in.
So the biggest thing, you guys, is whenever you get, whether that is 5 hours that you can work your business or 5 minutes, we have to be so super intentional with that time. And I feel like a lot of times, a lot of us get stuck because we're like, okay, I have 5 minutes to work my business right now, but I have 50 things that I need to do, whether that be a part of my business or other things around the house. We have to be very intentional with our times. So whenever I get 10 minutes, because my business is worked so deeply into the pockets of my day right now, but my time is so intentional, and that's why I've gotten to where I am today, is because I've been so grounded and so intentional with it. And whenever you can get that discipline within yourself, that's whenever you're going to be able to be very intentional with your time. And it is so hard to be disciplined within ourselves because we're trained from the get-go that we always have a boss that's telling us what to do. And whenever we come here, we are our own boss, and it's so easy for us to just like not do the things that we need to do. So whatever works best for your brain, because everyone is going to be different. And I feel like even me, like I've changed so much over the course of my journey here. Whatever works best for you, whether that is a checklist or reminders on your phone or a planner or your Connect app, whatever that is, to be able to help you know what you need to do for your business, stick with that and be super intentional with it. So for me, like I know that I do really, really well with checklists, but I also know that I don't have the time in the day to create my checklist for the day. So in my mind, I know the things that I have to do. I know that I have to be active on my stories every single day. I know that I have to be posting. I know that I have to be engaging. I know that I have to be doing my TikToks and Reels. I know I have to be following up, but I know that my time is so super limited. So break it out throughout the day. Like, what's the first thing that you want to do today? Okay, your very first 10 or 15-minute time block that you get, we're going to focus on that. Your very next 10 or 15-minute time block, what is the next thing that you want to knock out that day? Let's focus on that. And if you're somebody that, if you could have an hour or two to yourself in the mornings and just do your own power hour, you could knock out so much time and things for your business just within that small window. Or if you're somebody that you would do better with it at nighttime, utilize the power hours. Even corporate has power hours, and I'm sure your team has power hours. Utilize those small windows of time that you can do for your business. And it's so funny how whenever you do start to get so grounded and intentional with your time, what little bit of time you will spend scrolling on your social media. Because a lot of times you're like, okay, I have like 15 minutes to work right now, and then 60 minutes just went by and all I did was scroll Facebook. Every single one of us are guilty of that. I will say I'm guilty of it, but it's funny because whenever I decided I was going to be very intentional and disciplined with myself, somebody would be like, "Oh, did you see this on your Facebook?" I'm like, I haven't been on my Facebook besides like working. Oh, but did you see that? No, I did not see any of that. And they're like, did you see the latest episode? And I'm like, I have not had time to watch TV because I'm either doing things with my girls because I know that my time with them is very special. So I don't want to spend it being soaked into my phone. Even my daughter is like at the time right now where she's like, no, mom, you can have your phone right now. And I'm like, you're right. Like, I'm going to soak up this time with you. So that way, whenever I don't have time with her and I have time with my phone, I know that that time is very limited. So a lot of times I feel like, and I'm saying this because this was me, whenever I worked this business alongside my full-time job, I'm like, but I don't have the freedom in the day like somebody who works this business full-time. Somebody who works this business full-time struggles more with the things that they need to do for their business versus the person who has a full-time job doing this business, because we have so much freedom in the day to procrastinate and push things off. Okay. So if you're somebody that like you're doing this full time, you have to be the most disciplined and intentional with your time than anybody else. And if you're somebody that works this business or part-time along your full-time job, you know too that your time is very, very intentional. So you guys just have to have the honest conversation with yourself that you are going to be very disciplined. You're not going to allow yourself to give yourself excuses, and you're going to show up consistently, because 6 months from now, a year from now, you're going to thank yourself that you put in the work that you did, because the benefits that you're going to be able to see from that time is going to be like so amazing. And you guys, if you would have told me a year ago that I would have won Winner Circle, not once, but twice, like I would have lied like, I would have thought you were lying to me because there was no way, like, I was not putting in the work that I should have. But if you would have told me 2 or 3 months ago that I would have done it, I would be like, you're right, because I have put in the work to do this and I deserve this. But I deserve that because I was working and I was being super, super intentional with it. You guys, I sound like a broken record saying that, but it's crazy. A lot of times it goes in like one ear and out the other, like we're talking to our kids. We have to be so intentional with our time here because it is so precious, and just those little spurts throughout the day is what's going to change your business versus you spending that scrolling on social media.
And I think that's so important because sometimes people will say too, even in this, are like, my family thinks I'm on my phone or this or this. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing on your phone that
Mhm.
much that your family is noticing to say something?
Yep.
Because the thing is, you guys, is that, and the other thing is anytime I catch myself just aimlessly scrolling, unless I'm like, okay, all my things are done for the day and I'm like, I have my certain person that I like to watch. I don't really watch TV. So
Mhm.
it probably is that I would watch somebody's stories over anything on my TV
Yeah.
anyways. But at the end of the day, when I have things to do, if I even start getting in that mindset of scrolling and I don't just get into my work when I first jump off, I just go do something else that needs to be done for the day because I'm like, okay, like you're going to sit here and you're going to go down this like black hole and it's going to do nothing for you. And then you're frustrated, right? Or whatever it is. And you guys, and if you struggle with like staying in your lane, I feel like even just your tip of time management, how you fit this in, that is like one of the biggest things that I also learned. Like there are, like you said, there's people that are like, oh, did you see this on so-and-so story? And I'm like, no, I didn't. But I'm like almost proud of it. Not that I don't want to be a part of somebody's stuff, but I'm almost proud of it because I'm like, no, because I'm living in the moment, but I'm also getting my work done. And
Yep.
so again, you just really, when you're talking about staying in your own lane, there is something so peaceful and productive about that, you guys. And sometimes when you're not in that, you feel so overwhelmed. And so sometimes I just tell people, I'm like, unfollow the distractions. Like,
Yes.
even though you love those, unfollow them until you can establish the discipline. And then you can bring those back in because you are going to have already formed habits that this won't take from you anymore.
Exactly.
So thank you so dang much for sharing.
Oh,
I
thank
know that there were
you.
so many helpful tips. If we can just give her a thank you. I always said, I was like, I don't know what, day you guys do stuff, but it's hard, you guys. People are doing stuff for their team. We all do different things. And like you said, not you guys, no one has to be on a Zoom every single night. And there's going to be things that KRissy said that we've heard before. Sometimes it just hits differently. But I also say sometimes hearing it that fifth or sixth time, you guys, it's just, you're like, okay, there is nothing else. I just need to do the dang thing, right? It's like, you just need to do it. So thank you. I know that our team appreciated it. They probably didn't appreciate me jacking up the meeting ID, but I will get the recording and I can share it so that if you need it as a tool for your team, that we can share all of that. But
Perfect.
all right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thanks for hopping on.
All right. Thanks. Good night.